Swinging a ground ball, stabbed by Folk. He has it. He underhands to first, and the Boston Red Sox are the world champions for the first time in 86 years.
Together they have, and together they stand alone on top of the mountain for now. And once again, the Boston Celtics stand alone for all time. It is banner 18.
No icing. For the first time in 39 years, the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
And a title for the Patriots!
I can't believe it!
They have completed the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history.
Good morning, listeners. Welcome into episode 59 of A New Era podcast. My name is Hanson, better known as Fryddy Online, and I am joined here by my dad and co-host, the OG Frid. Dad, would you like to say hello to the listeners this morning?
Yeah. Good morning, newbies. Hope you had, hope you had a great weekend. Yeah, some, all-star stuff going on right now. But I told this young man I'd give him a big shout out. Jackson, he is a great young man. I was with him on an air flight back from Boston. Student up in Maine, going to play defensive lacrosse at Endicott College. So, Jackson, I hope you start listening. You got a bright future, man. Good luck at Endicott.
Nice. I forgot you were going to do that. That was cool. All right. Yeah, like you mentioned, all-star stuff this weekend. I've got a little note that we'll get into that because some of it was really sucky, some of it was really cool. But before we do, we've got some other stuff to talk about. First off, obviously everybody wants to talk about the Bregman signing. We'll get to that, folks. Don't worry. We want to start off here first with college baseball, though. It's finally back. We did talk about it a good bit last year throughout the season on our episodes, and so now with the season coming back, feel like it is a good time to start talking about it again and trying to keep up with it throughout the season. And what are we trying to do, Dad? Have some more games for it. Just be a little more interactive with college baseball this season.
I mean, it's obviously baseball has gotten back into our bloods, if you will. We're enjoying it more, and it's going to be exciting to add some college baseball. It's a different game. Again, much like college basketball versus pro, you get the excitement of the fans. You get the excitement, which I absolutely love, of the boys when they hit a home run and they're little whatever they come up, celebrations coming off with the group. So college baseball, I think, is something obviously a fan of baseball would enjoy. So we want to be a podcast that carries it. A big part being Hanson going to ECU, graduating, and still up in the area and loving his Pirates, and they've been successful over these years. So we're gonna cover this sport this year.
Not gonna lie, I caught about half of what you said because I froze there for a second, but I got a good part of it. Hopefully you didn't. We'll listen back on it. I'll listen back when I'm editing it. So basically, I heard what you're talking about, though. It is electric. It is just fun, and obviously, baseball, MLB baseball is a great time to watch. If you're a fan of baseball, as is. I know some people hate watching baseball and think it's too slow and stuff like that, but if you're not an MLB fan, but you want to find an equal medium, that might be college baseball, and the electric vibe of it, and the fans like you're talking about, and I don't know. There's just something about it. There's just something about it that's just a little different.
It has to be. If anything you put on it, it's the electricity of the event. It's rooting for your school. Minor league baseball, as fun as it is, and the cool little ballparks that you can go to in just a nice little small intimate atmosphere. And again, it's community based, but sometimes the ball play's not the best. So you're going for, the community portion of it, the little fun little activities in between innings kind of thing that the promotional teams do. But college baseball, again, might not be the best always. You could have a couple little errors here, indecision made. But I think the electricity, every time even a kid makes a play in the infield, just pumping their arms. I mean, it's awesome. It's baseball when we grew up playing baseball and just showing excitement, which MLB does, from time to time, but almost every play you can see something cool.
Yeah. With that being said, there's a lot of games that go on. It's a lot of college baseball all at the same time, so it's very hard to keep up with all of this. But did watch a good bit of some college baseball throughout the weekend. Obviously, like you mentioned, I watched all 3 of the Pirates games. Ended up going 2-1 on the week. Did a doubleheader on Friday. Lost the first game. Got just beat up in the 6th inning. Lost that one 7-3, and then come back and win the second one of the doubleheader. I think 4-3, and then win on Saturday off a walk-off 4-3 as well, which was sick. And if it wasn't so shitty and gross outside, I would have loved to be at that game and be there for the electricity of the walk-off and everything. But super windy and everything. It's just not quite optimal baseball weather yet. But it's going to need to shape up because we got Carolina on Friday. Big one in the ice, yeah. Big one on Friday. Number 2, Virginia goes down 5-4 to Michigan in the Puerto Rico Challenge. I think there's 2 more teams there as well, like Missouri and Penn State, I want to say. So that being one of the bigger upsets of the weekend. Now, granted, too, we all play their weekend series, so you play 3 games in a weekend. Not every good team, ranked team's going to go 3-0. Some of them go 2-1, and that's the cool part about college baseball is you can afford some losses, especially early in the season, to some of these other teams that might end up being in the running to, not only make the playoffs but host regionals later on down the road.
One cool thing I was thinking, obviously, all these northern schools, Michigan is not going to be able to play ball right now. I know Stonehill came down to play. I watched a little of a game that Villanova was at home, which, again, cold games because you're still right inside in Philadelphia. But yet, it's neat that these smaller East Coast schools that obviously aren't going to play come down into a warm condition and, be able to shock some of these southern programs that are probably known for more baseball because you can practice, you can play year round.
Yeah, and they stay close, even these smaller schools. That's the other game that I'm looking at from Friday. Number 1, Texas A&M. They're at home, only beat Elon 4-2. But it's not like a terrible win by any means. Defending national champion Tennessee put belt to ass all weekend. Did see a couple of their games. They were on fire. Mercy ruled Hofstra, I think, 3 straight times. 15-0. Almost no hit Hofstra on Friday. Saturday, 18-1. Final after 7. Kept them to 2 hits. And then Sunday, 13-1. Final in 7. Yeah, Mercy ruled them 3 straight times. I feel like they feel a little disrespected that they come in with such a dominant season that they had last year, especially leading up to and in the College World Series that they didn't get enough love with that number 4 ranking behind them, I think. So they came out here and made a statement. LSU, number 3, seemed to do the same thing this weekend. Not mercy ruling Purdue Fort Wayne, but definitely giving it to them. You had Arkansas, looking at it here, I think they went undefeated as well. I can't see their third game. Maybe not. Unless they did a doubleheader. This is the worst part. I will say, as we're trying to get more involved in college baseball on the podcast and everything, so is like ESPN and so is everybody else. I remember, when I was in school, or 3 years ago, or whatever, 4 years ago, when you're trying to keep up with college baseball, they didn't even have a page on the ESPN app for it. Now you're getting a page on the ESPN app, and it comes up with your betting lines and everything from ESPN Bet. So it's a bunch of steps in the right direction, but this could still be optimized just a little better. I'm assuming Arkansas did go. Here it is. I see the doubleheader now. They went 3-0 at number 5 on the weekend. North Carolina as well played Texas Tech. I think they won all 3 of their games. You got Oregon State, number 7, going 3-0. And then this is what I'm saying. I'm like, why can I see the record of the number 7 team and half of the teams in the top 5, but you won't show me the rest of them in the top 10? It's weird. Did you see any games specifically this weekend? The other one too, Duke on Friday. They are ranked pretty highly, number 11 in the country. Lost to Cincinnati, but I think that was the only loss that they had this weekend. I'm pretty sure they bounced back Saturday and Sunday. Yep, won 6-5 on Saturday, and actually got their shit ruined yesterday, 19-5. I was thinking of the wrong team. So they might be the only team that I know of, at least within the top 15, that did not go 2-1 or 3-0 this weekend. I know there were some teams lower down there, like Arizona, number 21, ended up getting swept this weekend by Ole Miss, I believe, and some other teams. They were facing Texas and Louisville and Ole Miss in the Shriners College Showdown. Did you see any of these games? Maybe not the ones so local, the teams around us, but any other ones that you want to highlight before we move on to our little fun interactive game that we want to start this college baseball season with?
Yeah, I mean, I was just flipping through on both Saturday morning. That's the other cool thing.
Oh my God, like the 10 o'clock game.
Like 10 o'clock?
Oh my God, and then they go until fucking 10, 11, 12 p.m. Yes. Oh my God, I love it. It's just all day.
Yeah. So I would watch a little bit of here, Kennesaw State or whatever, just flipped and just watched an inning or two, but just kept on just trying to get, an understanding of all the teams playing this weekend. So I didn't watch any game throughout its entirety, but yeah, just it's so cool to be able to just flip on it Saturday and Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and just start watching.
Well, look, we get to do the same thing today. Even though it is a Monday, there's still college baseball because we're just getting into one of the best times to not only be a baseball fan, but just, a sports fan in general, with baseball all throughout the day, as they'll save us once we lose football. And it felt so weird, our first Sunday without football yesterday. It's like, what the hell am I going to do? Was able to do this all day, which was nice. We got baseball in an hour and 10 minutes. We got Michigan at Stetson in the Puerto Rico Challenge, at 9 a.m. on a Monday. I mean, how much better can this get? You got St. Joseph's in Washington, baseball at the beach at 10:30 on Monday. You got a game at 12, a game at 1, a game at 3, a game at 3. I mean, it's going to go all day again. We've got some good ones lined up. Some of these games that either didn't move ahead of time, or because I know a lot of the ones, especially down here in the Southeast, that were having a lot of rain and a lot of wind yesterday, ended up doing a doubleheader either on Friday or Saturday. Some of those ones that didn't, or some of the guys that just didn't have games scheduled for Sundays are figuring out. I think they're finishing off these series. Some of them, it looks like some of these are the same teams, or they're starting their weekend or their weekday games, which is weird because I thought that was like usually Tuesdays. But I won't complain. A good slate of games today. So if you didn't get the chance to take a look at some college baseball this weekend, definitely switch over to ESPN Plus, whatever it may be today during the day. Have it on in the background. It's something nice. You'll see a couple of electric plays, I'm sure. It's a game that you can fall in love with pretty quickly. All right, Dad. So what we're going to do, our first little interactive segment of the college baseball season. I saw this last week before some of the games started, but you know how only 8 make it to Omaha at the end of the year with the super regionals. After those, so what we're gonna do here is, they don't have RPI data. Damn, you dying over there?
Yeah.
Okay. What we're gonna do here, I don't think the rankings have been updated, but I'm still gonna use them as is. Oh no, they must have. Yeah, they must have been because Arizona's no longer in here. I'm using D1 Baseball's top 25, but also some teams that you saw this weekend if you want. If you think some of these teams are ranked a little too highly, we're going to go through here and we're going to snake draft. For those of you that don't know what that is, somebody gets first pick, then the other one gets 2, 3, then the other one gets 4 or 5. You go back to back. But we're going to snake draft here 8 teams to make Omaha at the start of the season. After the first weekend of college baseball, we're going to pick 8 teams to make it to Omaha. Dad, a little friendly wager here. We won't do the normal wager on this one. This will be a little just bragging rights to see who gets kind of the closest.
Round of golf.
You want to do a round of golf on this one? Okay, I've got another friendly wager later on, but that one will be more just fun. This one, all right, this will be the gentleman's wager that we usually do. A round of golf on who has more of the top 8 that make it at the end of the year. Not at the end of the year, at the end of the super regionals. So, all right, Dan. You know what? Do you want to go first? Or
no, you go first.
You want me to go first?
No, let the young kid go first.
All right.
He needs all the help he can get.
Oh, that's funny. I mean, I think you fucked up there. I was going to give you number 1 here. I know you want the 2 back-to-back, but if you're going to give me this, I'm not taking Texas A&M, number 1. I'm not taking Virginia, who loses to Michigan this weekend and just did not look good. LSU looked very good, but at the end of the day, why would I not go and grab the reigning national champion Tennessee off the board, number 1 here? They looked amazing this weekend. I honestly believe that we could see them going back-to-back potentially. But even if we don't see them as the number 1 overall seed or something, I think it's very hard for them to miss Omaha at this point. They're going to be battle-tested throughout the SEC with these teams like LSU, A&M, Arkansas at the top. But I think they're just in a tier of their own. So I'm going to take Tennessee 1.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go to a team that out in the West that always seems to get there every year. Unfortunately, not in a predominant league anymore, conference, but
taking Oregon State.
They just play ball, man, out there, even in the rain. So Oregon State, I'm taking Oregon State.
No, I like that. You got another one. Go again.
And then I have another one, and yeah, I might as well take the top team as well. I'm going to take Texas A&M.
All right, that's fine. I know it's weird. It's like we're going to be picking around this. on paper we have 8. Some people would think that we'd take the top 16 teams. It might not be that.
No.
We might be leaving some of these teams off the board. It's just whoever you gut feeling who you feel like is going to make it there.
Well, and especially it's these draws. I mean, you just said the SEC is loaded here.
Yeah.
Correct? In the top. But yet, when it comes to the super regionals, you're going to have a Tennessee versus a Georgia, most likely. So they're not going to... Potentially, and they're not going to, make it out. So,
yeah, it just depends on where we're going to see, some of these matchups and stuff. But you got to think, like some of these SEC teams might just sneak in there at the end to host, and then they're playing like the number 1 overall. It's really, that's fun too. I will say here, the selection Saturday or whatever they do, when they select all of the regional hosts and actually put everything in there, that is one of the most fun things about college baseball as well, setting up the tournament. But it does make for very hard matchups in the second round once you get through that regional. Hopefully you get through your home regional there, because then you're down to the top 16 teams in the nation, or should be, and it gets very tough around there. So one team that I'll go with, I think I'm gonna stick in this conference for my second pick here. A team that made it last year, but started off highly ranked this year. They lost some key pieces, but just think they have a pretty good program. Even losing Jack Caglione, who was, an absolute star for them, pitching and in the outfield and hitting last year, I still feel like they're going to be able to replicate that same success. Let me go with University of Florida as my number 2. And then on my back-to-back here, I'm just writing this down. On my back-to-back here, we'll stay in state. A team that was really fun to watch last year, I think it was in the College World Series as well, because I'm pretty sure they made it. Pitching wise, they were insane, and hitting at the plate, these guys were dropping some nukes last year in their games throughout the playoff run, and that would be Florida State. I'm going to stay in state here. I'm going to take them both, because if they're going to be anything like the team that I saw last year into the playoffs, and if they can play like that throughout the whole season, I think they could end up being the top ranked team coming out of the ACC. And as long as they don't beat themselves, I think they've got a pretty good team there. So I'll take Florida State 3.
All right. Okay, so I was looking at those clubs, so I guess, I mean, there's so many that, again, could, but again, you got to look at that next region. But I'm going to take this team that just has probably the most electric stadium there is. Great fan base. And again, these boys can hit some bombs and just feed off of the fans. I'm going to Arkansas.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was going to take them next if you let them hang there.
And then last team. You ready for this?
It's not your last team. We're taking 8 each.
Oh, 8 each.
Yeah.
Oh,
taking a whole 8 of Omaha. Yeah. What?
Okay.
8 in general.
All right. Oh, all right. I was a little worried there. Yeah. So I'll leave that later. I'm gonna take a team from this state that we live in. I mean, they can lose some games that they should win, but again, program has been decent. I'm going to take the Tar Heels. I'm going UNC.
Yeah, take them. Whatever. I think they're highly overrated this year. I think 6 was laughable. And I think we'll see that this weekend. I think the Pirates probably play them pretty well. Hoping to get a 2-1 series win this week, but we'll see. I don't know. Pirates kind of scared me this weekend, but hey, I mean, whatever they want to do to get the job done.
The Pirates are young, dude.
Pirates are very young. A lot of freshmen that I was seeing this weekend starting too. Not even just coming in like in the second game in the doubleheader. I did not know just how young. Like I knew that we had a lot of new guys coming in and some transfer portal help. Did not know how young we'd actually be in that lineup. And then even on Saturday with Sean Jenkins, that 17-year-old, supposed to turn out for an ace for us. Absolutely insane.
One quick thing, because I know we started this last year just with the excitement over Parker Bird and his at-bat. Did you see he is also a right-handed pitcher listed?
Yeah, he's supposed to be two-way.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just it wasn't anything that they thought they could get done in rehab throughout last year, I think. But we might see him this year. We'll see. All right, so you take Carolina. I feel like we're both staring at this team at the top that we might end up just leaving. But then there's another one up at the top here that we're not going to. And that's because I'm going to take him here, I think. I'm going to go back to the SEC. That's 3 SEC teams, but I think I think after that, maybe we stop. I'll get away from the SEC. We do tend to see a lot of SEC teams make this, though, because they're very highly ranked because of their strength of schedule in conference. So once you get into that super regional round, you're hoping that these are your 1 through 5 guys, so they're playing your 16 through 12 seeds or something like that, or whoever comes out of those regionals. But I'm going to do it. I really wish you didn't take Arkansas. That would have been, because that's a program that's done it before. They can go out there and show that they can win it. I really like Arkansas. But instead, let me take LSU here over Georgia. I was thinking about Georgia here, but just saw them. I'm pretty sure they ended up losing they lost to NC State last year in the Athens regional, or in the Athens super regional, and just didn't. They just got down early. Like they could put up some runs, but you can determine very early on, and I don't know if that's how it's going to be for Georgia this year. Do think they lost a game this weekend. You can determine very early on if Georgia's going to end up staying competitive in a game. They get down early like they were doing last year against NC State in the super regionals. They just don't know how to play well out of a deficit. And I feel like that's something that, might stick with them. They could just be dominant and not have to get into those positions, but once you get later on into the year and you're playing these tough teams, you got to be able to overcome some deficits there. So my second pick, we're going to skip them. We're going to go down to, let's go back to the ACC here, and let's take Clemson at number 5. 2 to you, Dad.
All right. I'm going to the Big Ten.
Okay.
Another out west program that plays a lot of ball. I'm taking Oregon.
Mm-hmm. So you got both from that state. You got Oregon and Oregon State now.
Yep.
You're going to be a big Oregon fan, or the state of Oregon fan for college baseball this year.
It's weird, though, that, they have some shitty weather playing in that rain, but they know how to play in it.
Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
I'm going to take a team from what conference is this? The Big 12. I'm going to Oklahoma State.
Okay. Damn, that's not the Big 12 team I thought you would have taken there. All right. Let's start to get a little weird, huh? I got 3 more picks. Now the weirdest part is with some of these, the mid-major teams and non-power 4 teams, that's really just a toss-up because yes, they can host a regional, but most likely these guys aren't getting top 8 seed potential. So they're hosting a regional first round and then most likely matching up with a Tennessee or a Florida or an A&M second round and going to a very hostile environment and having to play in there. So taking some of these guys really is a scary thing to do, but some of these programs have just shown over and over that they can step up to the plate there and they can face these tough teams and they can pull out a series win. I think you're looking at both of them as well here, and I don't know which one. I could grab both, but I don't think I want to get that crazy. Actually, let me throw a little curveball here. You ready? I heard a little rumblings of this on Friday. I wasn't too sure how to feel about this team, but I heard a little rumblings of it, and they are now ranked as of this morning down there at number 24. I'm going to take Troy. Just throw a little curveball there. I'm going to take Troy. Hearing a lot of stuff about them in the Sun Belt, potentially could put together a team. This might end up being the thing that loses me this bet between us, but there's going to be one crazy team that makes it or something.
Yeah.
It's also been 8 years since the last mid-major won in Coastal Carolina in 2016 or 2017, whenever that was. And then 8 years before that was the last time another mid-major won it. I think that was Rice back in like 08 or something like that. So maybe if we stick along with the trend, it could be the year of the mid-major. I don't know, but I'll take Troy there at 6. And then my second to last pick, there's two teams here staring me in the face. And I swear I didn't want to go back to this conference, but I'm going to do it. Give me Vanderbilt. You know that's a great program for baseball. Been there, done that before. It was between Vandy and Texas there for the SEC. Didn't want to go back here, but when you've got a team like Vanderbilt just sitting there, number 15 here, and it's a great historic baseball school. I think they could put together a run any year. So I'll take Vandy.
All right. Well, I'm glad. I was a little worried, thinking that I had to take these guys.
You didn't
earlier,
have to do it. You can leave them for me. You can leave them for me.
I'm taking Dallas Baptist.
Oh, it wasn't. Okay. I thought it was the other one. You looking at the other one? If you want to get freaky and do two mid-majors there, you could do it. I was between Troy, Dallas Baptist, and I mean, for the listeners here, UC Santa Barbara. Those are the top three mid-majors in terms of the rankings so far after week 1. And yeah, Dallas Baptist, that's a good pick. I was damn close to going there. A fun team. They're a fun team to watch.
Yeah. But another team I seem to fall in love with, they had a little run at the end of the year. I like a bunch of their players, just some speed. And I'm going outside right now. They are not ranked. And they're all the way out west. And they're in the state of Arizona. I'm taking, just for fun, Grand Canyon.
Okay. Well, that might have lost it for you there. But hey, fuck it. You know what? If you're gonna bring that energy with your last one, I'll do the same. Guys, I can't sit here and not do it. This is the year. Say this every year, but this might be. I didn't think after what I saw on Saturday that it would be. But what type of fucking fan and alumni would I be if I didn't take the Pirates to finally break through and make it to Omaha here at my last pick in 2025? Maybe this is finally the year for the Pirates to break through and make their first trip. We shall see. But I'm going to say the Pirates fucking make it to Omaha this year, baby.
All right.
Fuck it. Finally break through. But that's fun. All right. So now we've got our group, and we will keep this. I'll probably put a little image about this on our social media after today as well. But I'll go through these lists here. For Dad, he's 8 in Omaha at the end of the year. He's got Oregon State, Texas A&M, Arkansas, UNC, Oregon, Oklahoma State, Dallas Baptist, and Grand Canyon. I've got Tennessee, Florida, Florida State, LSU, Clemson, Troy, Vanderbilt, and ECU. I think these are good lists. I think this will be fun. I think we're both definitely going to hit a couple. I think it's going to come down to like whoever can hit 4 to 5, and someone's going to hit 3 or 4. But imagine if one of us went 8 for 8. That'd be insane. That'd be insane. All right,
especially with our last picks.
Yeah, I know. When me with Troy and ECU, and you have Dallas Baptist and Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon. Yep.
Might have to check what a parlay would be just for the funsies. Not all 8, but just those 2 are mid-majors. If we have a Troy ECU parlay to make the College World Series, and you have a Grand Canyon Dallas Baptist, hold on. I'm sure I can bring this up now. Give me 1 second. Now I need to look. I want to see what these odds would be. College baseball.
Well, while you're doing that, let me fill in. Again, we want to be a podcast. Obviously, we're New England sports based and enjoy all of our professional teams up there, but as well, the college, moving down to the Carolinas and just enjoying the college atmospheres that we have here. And again, the basketball and now the baseball that we enjoy. Another sport that's starting up that we absolutely love as well is lacrosse. Both now the professional game is starting up in the PLL. I saw for the first time they've had professional women's out of the PLL or under that umbrella, playing in the championship series. That's in DC, I think it is, in a bubble that they built. So that's going on. So we're going to bring you some college lacrosse as well. And in a couple weeks, we're going to put together an interview with some players from the Boston College women's lacrosse team, who I happened to meet while in the airport, and they were off to Northwestern, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to follow some lacrosse as well, guys. We're going to be a podcast that carries some unusual sports, but give you some insight.
I can't parlay these together. I don't know why DraftKings is trying not to be fun, but I'll actually give you the odds for each one to make it 4 mid-majors. ECU at plus 550, Troy at plus 950, Dallas Baptist at plus 750, and Grand Canyon at plus 1800 to make the College World Series. So can't parlay them together for whatever, because they know it would be a fucking lottery ticket. But at least we got something to root for all year. I think it'll be fun. All right. That moving on from the college baseball, then let's finally get into the biggest news of the week for Boston, and that would be they finally heard us. They finally listened. It finally happened. Just like Dad said last week, he said we would be seeing a Bregman signing before spring training starts. In that last week, we would see it so that he could get down with the team. And he did so with yesterday, I think, being his Friday being his first day down there, but did the introductory press conference yesterday and fully got out there onto the field at BP, onto the field with Story and some infield drills. And that'd be Alex Bregman, your new third baseman or potentially second baseman for the Boston Red Sox. Big news coming in late on Friday, I believe it was, or late Thursday night?
Late Thursday, yeah.
Late Thursday night, early Friday morning. For 3 years, $120 million, $40 million per year, opt-outs after the 2025, 2026 year. Some people are going to be a little worried about that. I'm not. I think this is the perfect contract. I was very happy with trying to go after Bregman. I didn't want to get him into, a 4 to 6 year contract, though, because he is getting a little older. He's 30. So, we'll have him until 33, where you start to see a little bit of a decline with some of these players at the plate and then defensively. But 3 years, right at the end of his prime here, I really like. Hopefully he doesn't have to opt out, but I don't plan on seeing that happen because of what he said in his introductory press conference yesterday. Dad, did you happen to see that? And if not, let me. So there was one thing Here's his quote that I wanted to bring up. Said something about, I've been fortunate enough to be in the playoffs the first 8 years of my career, and I plan on continuing to do it here. I'm a winning player, and this is a winning organization. I plan to win here. I can see that there's something special going on here. It was also really cool. He said one of the big things that got him there, Dustin Pedroia was one of his favorite players growing up and was a big part in recruiting him to Boston and letting him know of what it was like to play here and be that guy here, and eventually got him over the line. So, Dad, what do you have to say about the signing? We're happy to finally see it, and just your initial reaction going into what's now going to be our first week of spring training. I think starts on the next Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously really excited. You had asked me while I was in Boston, you know, the vibe of the city. I can tell you it was, after the snowstorms that were coming in, it was the second story throughout on all the networks. And then fortunately I was able to watch some Nesson, good old Nesson. They had a lot of stuff down in spring training, just talking about it on Friday. No, I'm sorry, on Thursday. So yeah, really, really excited. Again, a piece that can fit 2 positions, 3, even first base. You throw him in a DH, so that's 4 roles he can play. Love the absolute flexibility of this team, which it can create a potential difficulty in our lineups. I know we're going to do that in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a difficulty. I don't know too much about first for him. I would think it would only be second and third. Could potentially play shortstop probably, but won't need to because, Story's there, and even if Story wasn't, got Zidane, got Mayer that could potentially come up, although we think he will be the last of the 3 to get up there. Great stat here that I want to bring up, and something that I didn't know beforehand about Bregman, so I'm happy the analytics guys in the Red Sox front office were really looking at this. He absolutely rakes at Fenway, loves hitting at Fenway, and the numbers speak for itself. Bregman's made 98 plate appearances in 21 games at Fenway over 9 MLB seasons. Here are stats in those 21 games. Hitting a .375 batting average, hitting 30 for 80, 7 home runs, 9 doubles, 15 RBIs, .750 slugging percentage, 1.240 OPS. Says not only is Bregman a better hitter at Fenway than any other ballpark where he's played more than 6 games, but he's also one of the best hitters of all time in Boston. This is a serious stat. Bregman here's where he ranks among qualified hitters. It's minimum 75 plate appearances in key offensive metrics at Fenway Park. That average, 375, all-time rank, tied 6th. OBP at .490, all-time rank 2nd. Slugging percentage, .750, all-time rank 2nd. And OPS 1.240 is all-time ranked 1st. He's absolute monster hitting in Fenway, and I can't wait to see him be able to play 81 games here. And I don't expect it to be that severe. Obviously, it's gonna come back down a little bit, I would think. But who's to say it doesn't? Who's to say he can keep that? And his relationship that he had with Alex Cordero already, dating back to when he was on the staff, just keeps him motivated, keeps him hungry, and just keeps him batting like that. I don't know. I'm very excited for it. And I think this is exactly what we needed. We were already looking forward to this Red Sox season. I think I told you over the phone, but this was the move I needed to see. And now we are all the way back where before I was like, yeah, this team could contend, but could we really get there? Could we make it through an ALCS? Could we make it to a World Series and win with Crochet and everything that we did already this offseason? Whereas, everybody felt like we were waiting for one more thing that ended up being Alex. We felt like we could make a little run, but at the end of the day, there was going to be something to step in the way of us probably. That team before Bregman probably could have made an ALCS, could have put up a fight there. If they made the World Series, I don't know if they're winning it, though. Now you bring in Alex, and that's the piece you needed. Now I can see this team in the mix with all the other ones at the top, as that is one of the select few teams that could actually bring it whole home this year, and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, it's a small sample size, obviously, but yet if you threw that out as a prospect, you'd be so excited about the future. What he's playing. So yes, it will decrease due to the fact that he's having more at bats here. But yeah, the guy's still going to be in the top 10, I think, in all those metrics that you just threw out, because he's a hitter. And he's gonna have fun peppering that green monster on those doubles.
I think he's gonna have a lot of fun. All right, Dan. This one that you were mentioning about lineups, our opening day lineups here. This one will be more of a friendly bet because we have the gentleman's bet on our College World Series. Go ahead and give me your opening day lineup that you see for the Red Sox here, positions and everything where you believe, and then I'll give you mine and we can compare and contrast here.
All right, so we're doing position-wise or are we doing lineup?
Both. Lineup, give me 1 through 9 and give me where they are.
Okay. All right. So leading off, our fan favorite, the kid's just going to continue on with what he did last year. Jarren Duran, out in left field, will be batting first. Batting second, I'm going to say your third baseman, Alex Bregman. I'm going to see him at third. I want to see him at third. Batting third will be our DH, keeping him healthy throughout the year, will be Devers. Cleanup hitter, your first baseman being Tristan Cassis, who hopefully stays healthy and is looking for that breakout year as he is entering into his free agency. Batting fifth, batting fifth, as much as we were talking about the young kid coming out, Christian Campbell, would love to see him. I think right now I'm going to go, your second baseman will be Vaughn Grisham.
Where did you have Devers? Did you have him 2 or 3? Sorry.
I had him 3.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Next, batting 6, give him a little leeway, he could be batting 5th for you, protecting Tristan, but I think we'll put him down to 6. We're going to have our shortstop, Trevor Story. Batting 7th, outside the fact that this could still be a potential trade piece, but I'm going to say Abreu is batting 7th. He's in right field. Batting 8th is Connor Wong at catcher. And then our center fielder with that speed at the top and at the bottom of the lineup, Zidane Rafaela, your center fielder.
So we're pretty similar here. If I'm looking, I think there's a couple at the top. Our top 6 are switched up a little bit, but our bottom Our bottom three are exactly the same. Our 7, 8, 9. I'm starting it off with Duran at leadoff. You're right there. You got to get the speed, and he's going to duplicate the year that he had. Just get him on base for some of these other great hitters under him to get him home. Whereas you had Bregman at third, at second, hitting second. I've got him in my third spot. I've got Devers being the second. Actually, at the DH spot, I've got him in the DH there. That means I've got Bregman hitting third at third base. I know Corey even said this weekend, still up in the air about second. They don't want to lock him into second yet because they don't want to put that really in. I think they don't want to put that in Christian's head. They want him to know that if Christian has an unbelievable spring, that position is still open for him to take for opening day. So I think we do end up seeing Bregman at third because I think we see an absolute explosion out of Christian Campbell to start. So you'll probably understand where he'll be later on in this then. At the 4 spot, I've got Tristan Cassius at first base. I think we see a big year out of him. He's been talking a lot of talk this offseason, and I think we're going to get a vintage Tristan Cassius year, if we're allowed to say that at this point. I think he's back to himself after all the injuries, and now with this team around him to motivate him and to get him there, I think it's going to be a big year for him. In the 5 spot, I've got Trevor Story at short, and at 6th, that's where I've got Christian Campbell at second, hitting there right after Trevor. You could probably switch the two of them. I'm going to give Story the benefit of the doubt, being the veteran here, that he 5 spot. But if Campbell does explode in spring training here, and you feel like he's a bat that you need high up in the lineup, maybe you put him there at 5. Maybe you even put him, if he has, I don't think this should happen, but if he really has an unbelievable spring, maybe you have him there at second, and you get Duran on. You have Campbell ahead of him, electric bat, but they've both got some speed. Get them to second and third if you need to be, and then you would have Devers, Bregman, Cassius after that to try to get him home. That could be pretty disgusting too. It does. We should mention that leaves Roman Anthony out of the opening day lineup for both of us. Felt like this was coming. We've been talking about this. If anyone is going to make it, well, not even just make it onto the opening day roster, but especially be starting in the opening day roster, it would probably be Campbell over Anthony or Mayer. Not strictly a talent-based thing, but just because of the logjam that we have at some of those positions. If he does end up making the team, I think Mayer would potentially be the only one that starts in AAA. How early into the season could you see Roman making his way into this lineup on a daily basis? Maybe not a daily basis, but at least 70%, filling in for maybe Abreu.
Yeah. I think, 70% is going to be, I'll say June 1st. As much as we both like the fact that Abreu had a great defensive, obviously winning a Gold Glove. But the one thing that I just saw way too much, he's got a long swing. That bat just misses. It strikes out way too much. Just a long swing that he has. And I think it'll take until, June 1st before we see a platoon out of that, potentially. And then again, an opportunity that you could move Abreu come the trade deadline to get a piece out of the bullpen that you really need. So I'll say June 1st.
Okay. No, that's a good one. Last thing I want to touch on here for the Sox, there's a lot of rumblings about Dylan Cease. We're getting linked to Dylan Cease a lot this week, especially after the Bregman signing. Some people feel as if it's just imminent that it's going to happen sometime this week, and we might just hear a bomb. I'm on the fence a little bit. While I do like Dylan Cease, and definitely, Garrett Crochet, Dylan Cease, and Tanner Houck top 3 is just undeniably good. I don't know if it's necessarily, needed with the 6-man rotation that you really have right now. Crochet, Houck, Bayo, Crawford, Bueller, who I'm very excited for, and Giolito that says he'll be, if he's not starting the year, says he'll be healthy at least probably by May. If you are going to do a 6-man rotation, that's not even to talk about Patrick Sandoval, who went to injured reserve in place of Bregman to make that room on the roster for him, but that was fine. We knew he was going to be on probably 60-day IL to start the year anyways. I've got a projected trade here. This one says, that a trade for Cease would end up bringing in more than just Cease to the Red Sox, which would be huge. You just talked about potentially trading Willier for reliever help. Well, this one says Dylan Cease and relief pitcher Robert Suarez, all-star last year, I'm pretty sure, for Cutter Crawford, Willier Abreu, Miguel Bleis, number 6 prospect, and Dorian Soto, number 30 prospect. I know we kind of talked about one, I think, last week, and if we didn't, it was on the phone with you. The one that I said, which would be Cease for Abreu, Mikey Romero, Cutter Crawford, and Tristan Cashes. That one, you're overpaying a bunch. Yeah. Don't want to have to move Cashes here. That would get the job done, I feel like. However, some people would say, I heard some people saying that would have got vetoed, actually, by the league because of how much we'd be overpaying. So maybe something like an Abreu, Crawford, Romero gets the job done, or something like this if you're looking to add in Robert Suarez and get some relief help too. I'd be a fan of this. Whereas I'm still a big fan of Cutter, I feel like I'm just hearing a lot more that, whereas I thought it was going to be Abreu and Cashes as the top 2 trade targets this offseason, now that we're getting towards the end of it, I feel like Cashes has kind of just been safe, flew under the radar a little bit. He stayed safe and probably will be. I feel like if we do end up making a move before spring training, but also before opening day, Cutter's move to the top of that list in terms of being a trade target, especially if we're bringing in another starting pitcher for him.
Yeah. But, like you, that you just, started off with and seeing Lucas already throwing and starting to feel good. I mean, I'm fine with the rotation we have. What I'd be worried about is, Cutter's mentality right now. I mean, he's a bulldog. And yet, and forgive me, I don't know Dylan Cease's age, but I'm a little worried that we're giving up another younger
29.
Yeah. I mean, you're giving up Cutter Crawford, who
28.
Okay. So same age, but I don't know. I like his bulldog mentality for this city. I know he's a Southern boy. I think it's Mississippi or Florida. But the fans, I think, take to him. And if we're not doing this 6-man rotation, he's obviously a long arm that you can throw in the bullpen.
Yeah. There is other stuff to think about, like the contracts. He avoided arbitration this year, but he's got 3 more years of arbitration after this. It's on a $2.75 million contract right now. If you're going after Cease, it's most likely a rental. I think everybody knows that. His contract is up at the end of this year. He's going to go back to free agency. Do you give all of that up for a rental that you're not sure that you'd be able to get a extension done with? Because, quite frankly, if you bring in Cease, to me personally, my priority is extending Garrett Crochet before you extend Cease.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if Walker Bueller has a great year and he seems to love this place, he's a 1-year So you're going to have to extend him as well.
Yeah, and I think I'd rather go after those two and extend them than giving up stuff for Cease, not knowing if you're going to be able to extend them, and then potentially losing out on extending one of those other two guys because of it. Yeah. So, all right. Enough about the rumors. Enough about the Sox. We got to kind of speed this up here. Quickly, before we get into the last little segment thing that I have for us, thing that I texted you about. Yeah, you mentioned All-Star. I want to get into this here. Two very different All-Star breaks that happened this weekend. One of which, the NHL with the Four Nations face-off. This was absolutely electric. USA versus Canada on Saturday night might have been. It's going to be at the end of 2025 when we look back on all of the great games of all the great sports that happened this year. USA Canada is going to undoubtedly be top 3 sporting event that happened this year. And if we see it again on Thursday, it might be up there again. This was so fun. Canada booing the national anthem in 3 fights within the first 9 seconds. Canada gets the first one in, and USA puts up 3 unanswered to end up winning that game 3-1 in the Bell Center after they get booed in their national anthem. It was kind of crazy, and I've seen this a lot throughout all of Bruins Twitter. But as much as I hate him and talk so much shit on him during this podcast because I just hate the Florida Panthers, God, is it nice to be able to sit back and have a guy like Matthew Tkachuk be on the team that you're rooting for. He's one of those guys you hate. And it's the same thing with like Marchand that like I'm sure everybody hates Brad Marchand, but the Canada fans, the Maple Leafs Canada fans that were rooting for him and are going to be even today when they play, they're going to be like, damn, it's nice to actually root for this guy. It is nice to have Matthew Tkachuk in a USA uniform and be able to root for him as a good guy because, damn, he is fun. He is fun when he is being a rat for your team. And, yeah, this game was great. I'm happy I watched it. I was trying to keep an eye on both like the 3-point contest and the skills challenge and the dunk contest and then this game. And I eventually just gave up about the NBA because this shit sucks. And we'll get into this in a second. But tell me about your thoughts about the USA-Canada game really quick. And do you think we see this again Thursday for the final?
Oh, without a doubt, we see it. I mean, obviously, we're already in. Canada has to play Finland
today, I think, yeah.
Today. In TD, in the Garden.
Mm-hmm.
They've moved it over. Yeah, and again, this was a great putting you're playing this into the original 6. So it'll be cool to see, next year, what you do, maybe a Toronto and a New York type thing would be kind of cool.
That's if they do this. As of right now, they've said that the regular All-Star game should be coming back next year. However, I don't think they envisioned this being as popular and as great as it is. I think there's a chance we see this again, maybe not going forward as like the usual All-Star game for NHL, but maybe again next year, and maybe you have an extra year and you can see if you can get Czech and Russia teams as well, and you do 6.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, I know there's some political stuff with Russia that didn't allow them to get in this year, but maybe if that's sorted up.
But definitely a Czech team.
A Czech team would be huge. I know there was another one, like Germany is one of the top 5 IIHF. I think that's like international hockey shit teams, but they just don't have enough NHL players to field a team for Germany. So the next 2 would be Russia and Czech. If you can get 6, that'd be awesome. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but it is written down. It has to be written down unless Finland finds a way. I mean, they beat Sweden, so it could happen. But I'm sure on well, no, because they'll be 2-1 and Canada will be 1-2. But Canada, they're not gonna let this game get even close.
Spread's 2.5.
Yeah, they're again, maybe a 7-2 kind of win. I mean, they're going to put it, they got angry, and they're looking to get some revenge against the U.S. But yeah, and I think that final itself is going to go into overtime and be like a 4-3 game. It's going to be fun, just as fun, and it'll be interesting to see if we can break the record and have a fight within the 9 seconds.
Oh, I'm sure. I think we might have 4 within 8 seconds. At that point, they might as well. Yeah, no, that was great. That's just pure cinema. That's what you want to see out of those teams. And it's the first time these two teams have faced off in 9 years. And there's a lot of pent up aggression and everything from there, and can't wait to see it happen again. Hopefully Thursday, but then going forward, I know the NHL commissioner came out and said he is going to allow, whereas he didn't the last couple times, he is going to allow NHL players 2026 to play in the Winter Olympics. So might be able to see stuff there. See another matchup between these two teams, 2026 and in 2030. He said so far as well too.
Yeah, and if that's the case, I mean, you might as well bring this back next year, because you're going to have a long extended break into 2026 with the Olympics. So you might as well have the guys understand another year of this 2-week layoff, which is kind of cool because it now pushes the end of the season with a bunch of games to finish off,
I think this stuff was just great. Granted, hockey's NHL game, where I haven't watched it much. I do know, give the most effort really compared to the MLB or the NBA and stuff like that. But I think just doing this with the 4 nations and giving them that sense of doing this for your country made this so much better. Made the hits harder. Made the effort harder and more for these guys, and it just means more, and you can see it through the TV with all these games. They've just been absolutely great and electric. And the NHL, especially with how bad the NBA did this weekend, absolutely knocked it out of the park. And I think a lot more people that aren't even NHL fans saw what hockey is like on Saturday night and are going to be watching for the back half of this year. I think the NHL absolutely fucking nailed it this weekend, and they deserve the credit because it was great. Moving on to the next one really quick. I really don't care to talk about this too much. The NBA All-Star Weekend. Jason Tatum got robbed out of an All-Star Game MVP last night, but I still don't know what happened here. They did like a 4-team bracket, Team Kenny and Chuck and Candace and Shaq, and it was scored like a target score of 40, and I don't know. It was pretty stupid. I fell asleep with it on. I didn't really care about it. But he did get robbed out of an All-Star Game MVP.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's bringing Kevin Hart out. I know you're funny, but Kevin, when you have a stand-up routine, you're funny, but putting him into these just coming up off the spot, just trying to make fun of stuff, just never ever works.
Yeah.
I think the All-Star Game on the NBA side is more, the entertainers, the music and all the people watching outside, all your actors and all that. I mean, yes, it was nice, to give props to Kenny and Shaq and Chuck and, TNT being gone after this. I mean, that was, cute, but I mean, come on, with the, Kevin Hart saying, oh, okay, well, I ended up spending my own money and I got your fishing poles and all this, it's just, I mean, those guys are going to find some NBA job again. I mean, how Charles is moving over to golf. So, Kenny Smith will probably go to do some ESPN NCAA basketball during March Madness, and it's just it was. What also having just the two teams to begin with to 40. I mean, if you're just going to 40, why couldn't you do a round robin kind of thing and have everyone play everyone? The effort. I mean, you're only going to 40. You had to space it out with all this other shit during the halftime or leading up to the championship game, which is, if you're gonna watch the players play somewhat, I mean, I thought if it was only the 40 and you had to try and get to the finals and all that stuff, I mean, the defense still there wasn't any defense. It was you could have had a round robin. Yeah, the guys could have definitely. And then LeBron, backing out. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, but I would have backed out too. It was just, the shit was stupid. I had no fun watching it. Same thing. It's the NBA All-Star Weekend is a dying product. They're very aware of it. They don't know what to do to fucking fix it. I mean, they're trying this shit this year, and this is not going to stick. I heard nothing but hatred for this last night on social media about how this was the worst All-Star Weekend ever. And it wasn't even like the skills stuff on Saturday night really changed it. You had a 3-point contest winner in Tyler Hero. Didn't really hear much about it. We did end up seeing a three-peat, and that was Max McClung on the dunk contest. But, it's just, there's something to me about they've kept this kid. He's now a 3-time dunk contest winner, and they've just kept this kid on a leash, really. Just having him in the G League just so they can pull him out so that he hopefully saves All-Star Game weekend on Saturday night with a dunk contest. Don't get me wrong, he had some great ones, but I just think it's kind of fucked. He's now a three-peat winner, and then he got sent back down to the G League for Orlando the next day. I mean, it's all of this shit. You go into the skills challenge, and the Cavs win it, but Wemby and Chris Paul essentially give up and get disqualified in the first round because you can even see it on the face of the players. They don't give a fuck about this on Saturday. Don't care about it on Sunday. I don't know. Maybe it's something.
It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity where they can hang out with their buddies, talk about, hey, I'll look to come play with you, in a few years, bring the kids. I mean, Giannis having his 2 boys there, at the start of the game, and they're walking on the court. I mean, it's just dumb.
Yeah, no, All-Star Weekend's just dumb. Maybe move it to the end of the year and do it in between that week break that you get between the conference finals and the finals. Maybe it'll mean a little more to people because then you have to earn it throughout the whole year and not just halfway through the year. I don't know. Or just get rid of it. I really don't care. And I don't think many people do care. It's just there. It's one of those things now you kind of just, I need something to throw on in the background. Well, NBA All-Star Weekend's on, I guess, this Saturday night. You throw it on in the background. You see a couple dunks. You see a couple threes get drained. And then you turn it off and don't talk about it any longer.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not that these guys need the rest because they don't play all 82 as is.
Yeah.
You have these opt-out games all the time. So you're only playing 64. So why do you, to your point, why do you have to put it midway? And it's not even midway through the season. So, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's terrible. All right. Last thing here then, Dan.
Yeah.
We talked about last week, leading up to the NFL draft. Now that we are done with the NFL season, we are going to break down these positions, position group by position group, every week until we get to the draft. This one, now we may not have time to go through all of these guys, but we do have our rankings, personal rankings for the quarterbacks of the 2025 class. That instead of going through our list here like we did with the Sox in the lineup, I think we go back and forth here. Let's give top 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 through 10.
All right.
So starting off here, 1, 2, 3 for the 2025 quarterback class. I think this is probably the consensus, but we'll see. I've got Shador 1, Cam Ward 2, Jackson Dart 3.
Yeah. I think Shador, and it just always just amazes me that he's not more athletic. I don't know.
Doesn't get out, like, he has the athleticism, but he doesn't use it as much as you would think he would. But I mean, for good reason, though. Like, I've thought that way too. It's like if he was just a little bit more dual threat, like maybe he would be a little bit more valuable of an asset. But he doesn't need to be. When I was looking through these stats when I was trying to get these rankings in here, and he's just unbelievably efficient and accurate. I mean, he completed 74% of passes this last year for 4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. The 10 interceptions kind of jumps off the page, but that's the most he's ever had in his college career. Just incredibly accurate, and you don't need to run around a lot if you're finding everybody in the pocket.
True, absolutely true. But I think, unfortunately, we have him number 1, but I don't think he's going to be the first quarterback coming off. I think Cam's ability to generate the leg, which we've seen, obviously that's the style of quarterback you want. Cam will probably be the first guy going.
Yeah, he might be. I don't know. I think it's still very up in the air, and I don't think we'll know till the draft, till we see whoever ends up going first. I think Cam might go. I think the Titans are more in love with Cam right now. I don't know. I prefer Shador. I think Cam, he holds on to the ball way too long, puts himself and his offensive line in bad situations. While, yes, he can make up for it with explosive plays and unbelievable arm and moving a little bit, I think his decision-making is going to need to speed up a little bit more in the NFL. And I don't know if that's something that he's just going to be able to get before week 1. I think that's going to take a couple years and some time in the NFL. So at my ranking number 1, it would be Shador, and then 2 with Ward is pretty safe, I think. And then you have Dart 3 as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I really like Jackson Dart. Just think, I don't know. There's just something about him that I can't put him 2 or 1 yet. He might end up being the best of the 3. But he's going to have to fall into a perfect situation, I think. All right, and then 4, 5, 6. Give me your guys there.
So 4, 5, 6. Again, this guy, he could be the Bo Nix of this draft class, and just kind of, just a guy who just is steady, a winner. Quinn Ewers.
Okay.
I'm gonna go then 5. I'm going to go outside of this group that are projected in there. I think somebody who, again, a winner, somebody who's played a lot of college ball, and because of the success of a short quarterback in Jalen Hurts, I'm going to go with Dylan Gabriel.
Dude, this whole thing about you saying Jalen Hurts is a short quarterback, he is not a short quarterback. You got to stop saying this. He is 6'1", 223. Dylan Gabriel and Jalen Hurts are not by any means the same guy. Jalen Hurts is a big 6'1" also. Yeah. If you're going to say short quarterbacks, we talk about like Kyler Murray or fucking Drew Brees or something like that. Jalen Hurts is not a short quarterback. This is like the 3rd time you've said this in 3 weeks. He's not tiny.
Well, I mean, he's not tiny. I mean, he's a big guy, but I think he's listed, yes, at 6'1", but I think he's a 6-footer. But And then next, I'm surprised, and obviously someone's going to take this guy project, but I'm going to go Jalen Milroe.
Okay, so this is where we differ. We definitely differ here, and this will be interesting to hear. I've got, I'll get into Milroe and Gabriel once we get down there because I think differently of them. I've got Will Howard 4. I've got Riley Leonard 5, and I've got Quinn Ewers 6. I've never really been a believer in Quinn. And yeah, he's going to be a good backup, I guess. But I don't know. There's just something about him that I think he'll test well at the combine. He'll test well IQ wise and everything. But once it comes down to it, I just don't think we're going to see much explosiveness out of him at the NFL level to the point where I can be really excited about him as a top 5 prospect here. Will Howard, throughout his time in the college football playoff this year, on his way to a national championship, played his way into this top 5 for me. While I think he's probably going to end up being a backup in the league as well. Maybe some team will give him a shot to start within a year or two as a little project, but I've been a Will Howard hater, and I still am, but this is a weak quarterback class, and I think you got to give him his props for being a winner as well. If you're going to say that about Ewers, same thing with Will Howard. I think he's got the physical tools. He's like 6'4", 2-something. He's got the physical tools to be an NFL quarterback. And then number 5 with Riley Leonard, I feel like this might be a little high, but same sort of thing. Played a lot of college ball. And the thing that has me putting him above Quinn is how much teams, not only the teams that he played for college-wise, but at the NFL level are going to know how much you can rely on Riley Leonard as a rusher as well. Mm-hmm. Big-bodied rusher. He's going to go out there and, put his shoulder down and get to work. I think you can teach him passing at the NFL game pretty easily. He'll be able to pick that up. But that that rushing ability is never going to leave him. So I think that's why I have him 5. We'll move on here to the last section then. My 7, 8, 9, 10. I will say I've got 7, 8, and then I've got a little block here that says don't care. I really don't care about 9 and 10. I think this class goes as deep as 8, really. But I've got Milroe 7, Gabriel 8, Seth Hennigan out of Memphis 9, and Tyler Shaw out of Louisville 10.
All right, so I got 7, 8, 9. I'm going Will. I'm going Riley Leonard. After that, I'm going to take Kyle McCord. And this guy, because of Anthony Richardson, I think somebody's going to want to try this kid. KJ Jefferson.
Yep. Yeah, no, he's big guy. He was very good at Arkansas. And then went to UCF this last year, I believe, and kind of stunk it up. I think there might have been some injuries or some stuff that happened there. I don't mind Kyle McCord as well. I was thinking about putting him in, and I might actually I'll do that here instead of Tyler Shaw. I'll have Kyle McCord there at 10. I like Seth Hennigan. I've seen him for a couple of years in Memphis. I really don't care outside of that 9-10 spot, though. Milroe, I had Milroe up at like 4 going into this year, QB4 of this class, potentially QB3. He played his way out of it. He's 100% played his way out of it, and scouts are starting to see that. Had a horrible Senior Bowl practice-wise. Draft stock was plummeting because of it. Had a horrible game against Michigan in the ReliaQuest Bowl, or whatever ReliaQuest something bowl that they were in New Year's Day. And yeah, great runner, don't get me wrong, but you need some passing ability too. You need to be able to make those reads and everything. And it looks like just throughout the year his stock was dropping because of his ability to throw the ball. It was being showcased at a high level, and it just wasn't what it needed to be. And Dylan Gabriel, I have slightly below him at 8. Could put Gabriel at 7 and Milroe at 8, really. I think that's where Milroe's fall has to stop, though. His slip has to stop at number 7. Gabriel is a tinier guy, 5'11", 204, but a lot of experience in college, a lot of experience at high-level colleges, Oregon, Oklahoma, even very good at UCF before. He's just one of those guys that just could be a winner, like you said, like a Bo Nix thing. It's just has to go into the right environment. Don't know if he's going to be given a starting job or the ability to run for one off rip, but maybe within a year or two.
I think he'd be a perfect fit with the Los Angeles Rams.
That'd be nice. Yeah. That'd be a good one, especially if they end up moving off of Stafford or something. And it's not going to cost you much, This has them here as a projected 4 through 6. But same thing with a couple other of these guys. They have Riley Leonard 4 through 6, Will Howard 4 through 6. I think Will Howard probably has played his way into a 2 through 4 round.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that? Jalen Milroe, even though he is my 7th, probably same thing, 2 through 4. Do you agree?
Yes. Yeah. Somebody's going to want to take a shot at that kid.
Quinn, yours probably 2 through 3. I don't think he makes it to the 4th. I think he's a day 2 pick, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because again, playing with these conferences or these schools that they've had and the years. I mean, the nice thing is that they're, seniors. You're not coming out as a junior. Hell, Riley Leonard is a grad, so he's played a bunch of ball, which is different from, a kid 1 year, a Johnny Manziel 1 year kind of wonder kind of thing.
Jackson Dart, this has it round 2 through 4. I'm thinking round 2 through 3.
He's gonna
day 2 guy.
I think he's going to be a late first round.
I wouldn't mind it. I really wouldn't. I like Jackson Dart, and if he gets put into a good situation, gets drafted late first round, I'll be focusing him in some dynasty drafts. I will say that. I think Jackson Dart could turn out to be a pretty good dynasty rookie quarterback. And then the last two, Cam Ward and Shador, we know they're going first round. We know they're probably going, both of them, within the top 3 picks.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's our top 10. We got through that in like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Next week, we'll probably have more time for the running backs and stuff like that. But that'll start off our positional breakdowns for 2025 NFL draft. Quarterbacks are done. You know how we have them ranked. I don't know if we're going to go back over this. We might go back over like the week before the draft, top 5 at every position very quickly or something like that, because that'll be after the combine and everything. But where we think they're going to land in the draft round wise in our rankings for them. So hope this helps you kind of game plan for the draft. Maybe put some bets on which rounds you think some guys are going to go.
And
we are not
fantasy.
NFL. Yeah, we are not NFL draft analysts, but we watch a lot of ball. So, all right. Well, that's all I've got for the episode, Dad. You got anything else here before I get us out?
Well, I guess the only other little thing I want to put out is March Madness is around the corner.
Yep, March Madness is around the corner.
And we're going to do our bracket challenge again. See if you guys can to beat us and win. And if you do, prizes will come your way. So I know Hanson will put out on all the social media how to join our bracket challenge coming up very shortly.
It'll be whenever the ESPN Tournament Challenge app allows me to renew that group or whatever, which I think might be around I think it's around like conference championship week. I'm not 100% sure, but go ahead and download the app again. It'll be here before we know it, and hopefully we can get a little more engagement out of it this year and have a good amount of entries in there. Everybody trying to fight for first. I think it'll be fun. But all right, well, good stuff, Dad. That'll conclude episode 59 of A New Era podcast. As always, if you'd like to keep up with us on social media outside of the episodes, make sure to do so at A New Era podcast on Instagram at A New Era Podcast on Twitter, A New Era Podcast on Facebook. And if you'd like to email us any questions, concerns, or funny business, A New Era Podcast at gmail.com. We appreciate you guys listening here to episode 59 of A New Era Podcast, and we will catch you guys next week for episode 60.
Love you, son.
Love you, Dad.